Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and I have my co-host Moongirl with me. Hi, beautiful. How
Hi,
are you?
beautiful. I'm great. Excited about our amazing guest.
Of course, of course. Who wouldn't be? Who would not be happy and excited and honored to have Dave Schrader on their show?
Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Well,
Yes.
with that build-up, I was excited to see who you had on today, and then it's me. Interesting. Well, all right. I'll do my best to fulfill that interest. But thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. So, for those very few people, like I said, that don't know you
Smudge.
or know about you that
Sure.
much, smaller, tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Rick, and I'm on a TV show called Pawn Stars, where
Ooh.
me and my family run. Oh, maybe no. That's
Rick Harrison.
people
Yeah,
always
Wait,
think I am.
what was that?
People just always assume I'm Rick from Pawn Stars. No, I'm Dave Schrader, and I am the former host of Darkness Radio. I hosted that program for 16 years. I am the current host of the Paranormal 60 podcast for the last 3 years. We're about 200 and some episodes in. And I've been on TV from everything from Paranormal State to Ghost Adventures Screaming Room, Paranormal Challenge TV series, Haunted Hospitals, The Holzer Files, Ghosts of Devils, Perch, Curse of Lizzie Borden. So I've had a great opportunity to get a chance to travel the world, see some of the most haunted and exciting places on Earth, and be a part of those investigations. And here I am with you two now.
Yay. That sounded like a downgrade, and now I'm here with you guys.
I know.
No. I'm saying
Sorry.
the pinnacle of my career is finally here. I'm on with you two.
Flattery gets you everywhere, sir. No.
Oh, Lordy. Oh.
So that's pretty much everything to catch up. I've grown up in haunted houses. I've had experiences with all elements of the paranormal throughout my life. I am the author of a brand new book called
Yes.
Theater of the Mind, Tales from the
Tales
Darkness.
from the Darkness.
And it
Yes.
is some of my favorite weird stories that I have collected over the years. Everything from time slip phenomena to monsters, the Bloody Bones Man, black-eyed children, ghosts, aliens, UFOs. 15, 16 stories in this book, and just gives you a great old-fashioned campfire-y tale story with well-written tales and things to make you sit back and think about just how weird our world really is.
There's a lot more.
So a family book, something for everyone.
I think maybe one curse word in the entire book, and it was well used, so I'm very cautious, but it fit for the story. These are all actual stories that have been shared with me and done for the last 18 years. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
a lot.
And a couple of my own stories in the book as well. So a couple that I've been a part of. One was a haunted doll story, Who Wants to Play with Emily? And then my haunted hospital story is in this book as well.
Can't wait.
Exciting. Y'all go get the book.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
You can get it on Amazon at Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness, or you can go to my website at paranormal60.com. And if you're in the United States, you can order it right there on my front page. I have signed and unsigned copies of the book available there at paranormal60.com.
Perfect.
And other books.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You have other books too. So
Yeah, well, I co-wrote another book called The Other Side, A Teen's Guide to Ghost Hunting and the Paranormal, and we released that a number of years ago. So I've still got a handful of those books on hand. So yeah.
So it's definitely a thing that you have been in the paranormal field for a long time.
Yeah.
And you have seen it evolve.
Mm-hmm.
You have seen how the investigative part of it has evolved. How do you want that investigative piece to evolve in the future?
You know, I've come to the conclusion we're never all going to get along in this field. Everybody's got their own ideas and agendas, and what I would love to see is for teams to come together in a more cohesive way, that 2 or 3, 4 teams could commit to really investigating a location.
Mhm.
And then when each team is completed and gone over their evidence and information, then the leads from each team sit down and discuss what they found. And I think that's how you start to build a better understanding for the hauntings, and going over the history that each one of your teams uncovered, in
Mhm.
case there was a couple of stones that were left
Mhm.
unmoved by one team. Another team may have found those things. They may have also found facts that have been dismissed in lieu of the fiction that is often associated with many haunted locations and famous ghost stories. So I would just love to see more of a cohesive nature where the teams are not competing against one another, but rather working together to try to get a better
Mm.
understanding of this paranormal phenomena.
Right.
Letting go of the ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with
So,
that. Let go of my ego. My ego is people have a real hard time with that. That's the one thing I've tried to do, is remain fluid over the 18 years that I've been actively
Mhm.
pursuing this field. Is I think I'm always learning.
Mhm.
I think, I've certainly got a good overview of the paranormal, and have been an integral part of it for the last 18 years in helping to share information, educate, entertain, and enlighten people with the programs, radio and TV, that I've been a part of. So, I've taken it as a real honor to be in this field, doing the things I love, talking to people that about things that fascinate me, and get to share those stories.
Mm. You've done a
Now,
great job. Great job.
you research many different topics. Is there one that maybe in the past, before you really dug deep, that you were skeptical about, and now you're like a firm believer, like, oh my God, it changed your mind?
I guess the fairy folk and fae folk, that stuff always seemed ridiculous to me. But again, I was coming at it from the perspective of looking at, what's the best way to say this? Looking at it through the eyes of Disney, and fairies
Yeah.
are just these little cartoony characters, and they're not. And then realizing, talking to folklorists and people overseas, how real they look at these scenarios, and that a lot of what we here in the mainland of the United States look at, a lot of the paranormal could be explained by some of the things that people are talking about overseas. And
Mhm.
many of our, 99% of our country is settled from people that came from other places and brought their own belief systems, and perhaps their own little gremlins, imps, ghosts, and specters with them. So I think I've learned moreover to not dismiss concepts and ideas just because they don't make sense to me. Instead, I'd rather really hyper focus on learning more about these things, remaining adaptable, so that when you present me with a concept, I'm open enough to examine it with you and see where I see the flaws or the strengths in those, and have an open dialogue with one another, so that we can say, well, that's a great theory. However, science dictates this, or how does that answer it for the Jewish faith, or the indigenous tribes faith? If we're looking at it from a Christian perspective, other groups and religions have a very interesting way of dealing with things as well, and it works extremely well for them. So I love to have that openness to understanding this better, and understanding the people that are in this field better,
Mhm. It's
which
very,
is
very.
tough, 'cause most of the people in this field are nuts.
Yes, this is the craziest field ever. We have conversations, me and Glenda, we're like, whoa.
Yeah, there's some,
A
but
little
it's a
toxic.
fun field of people. I love the people that I get to meet and encounter in
Yes.
this field.
Right.
Even the ones that are just complete lunatics are fun, right? They're fun to watch.
Oh, Lordy, Lordy. So, as far as us evolving in
Mhm.
this paranormal field, because people think that paranormal field is just ghosts. They don't understand that there's a lot more to that.
Mhm.
What do you see the biggest or the greatest obstacle is to that evolution?
Well, the greatest obstacle is religion.
Mm.
And before people get all up in arms at me and start shaking their finger in righteous indignation at me, I'm very religious and spiritual. But I
Mhm.
also believe that it's the misinterpretation of many things in the Bible,
Yeah.
listen, with everything that they tell you not to do, there's somebody doing it, right? Oh, don't talk to
Mm.
the dead. Jesus is talking to dead. Well, that's okay. He's the son of God. But
Right.
Jesus says, all these things that I do, you can do if you would just have faith in my Father and
Right.
follow, right? So to me, it doesn't seem like it's that big a stretch. I think that, people's misinterpretation of the word has messed a lot of people up. And do you know how many religious leaders and priests and pastors and rabbis I've spoken to that firmly believe in ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot and all of these different things?
Mhm.
And I talked to them, is it a sin? They're like, no, it's not a sin. But if you're seeking counsel elsewhere and not coming to the church isn't getting those tithings. Church isn't getting tax
Mm.
breaks, so they want people in the door.
Right.
And I'm not against church. Like I said, I'm not against any of that structured religion. I just find that sometimes it can be more detrimental to a learning experience than it is helpful. So find what works for you. But I think once people can get over the dogma
Mhm.
of so many of these aspects, then we'll start learning more.
Now,
When,
do you think? Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and when science relents and stops playing this game where, oh, this doesn't exist and that, and we found no proof. There have been thousands and thousands of reports and studies, and there is proof. There is proof of life after death. I've got, there's just an article that came out in the last day or two where a scientist very clearly states, after years of doing this and all the work that I put in and speaking to near-death experiencers, I firmly believe that there is something beyond this life. So, there are people that are out there, but how do you do a peer-reviewed study on something that you can't put your hands on?
Right.
You've got to
Mm.
go with the information and details that you have, right? Just
Mhm.
because I've never seen a kangaroo doesn't mean that they don't exist.
Right.
Well, Dave, they do exist. They're in Australia. I don't know about that. That just sounds like a conspiracy to me. And obviously, the government of Australia is trying to confuse us and confound us from learning real things by giving us furry, cute animals that are obviously fake. I mean, come on, kangaroos, they look like dinosaurs with hair and a giant pocket, right? So, you know, it, that's kind of the lunacy you have in these conversations with people, that just because they haven't had the experience, it is impossible to exist. But most doctors and scientists and lawyers and police officers and people that we put in high regards have had weird experiences throughout their life.
Mhm. Right. And unfortunately, sometimes they have to keep quiet because they don't want to put in the lunatic side of things.
Right.
Mm.
Right. So,
Exactly. It's all a cautious dance in this field. And I've just given up. I don't care if you believe me or not. I don't care how you feel about my feelings on the paranormal. If I'm asked, I will share my thoughts and ideas on the paranormal. I don't say that to open myself up to an ass kicking because you are somebody who doesn't believe. I'm fine with you not believing, right? It's like being a
Mm.
Trump fan or a Biden fan. Ooh, I worked in politics anyway. You're never gonna get the other side to listen to you. It doesn't matter,
right.
right?
Right.
So I'm not gonna waste what little time on earth I have fighting with you over the relevance of something that means something to me,
Right.
right? It's like
Mm.
fighting over how delicious fruitcake is.
Mm.
You couldn't prove that to me in any court of law, but people buy it and eat it every year for the holidays. I've tried 2 bites of it twice in my life, and I'm pretty sure somebody's trying to kill me. Right? So just because it doesn't suit me doesn't mean it doesn't make sense to somebody else,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So I'm always cool with that. And do you know, one of my favorite things in the world is being around a skeptic when something happens
Hmm.
and watching their eyes and watching that reveal of, oh, right?
Yeah.
That, oh my God, oh, what? And when they're standing next to me and there's 2 of us and I
Right.
ask a question into my recorder and just hold it, and then we play it back and there's answers. Love
Mm.
watching their minds implode.
Yes.
And I think it's also important that we maintain our own level of skepticism, not
Mhm.
cynicism, skepticism.
Right.
We do need to question things because I capture great EVP, but I'm always questioning, where did this come from? And maybe it's not even radio. Is this a projection from me? I get better EVP when I hold the recorder than when I set it down and ask some questions. With that said, I've also got some really remarkable EVP when I've been nowhere near my recorder. So there's all these theories and elements to what is going on. And every time I think I start to understand it, nope. And then science trying to come in and explain it away doesn't work either. So that's what keeps me fascinated with this, is that there's always some new rub. There's always a new way to re-examine something that we think we had a handle on.
A lot of rabbit holes.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, science has been talking about this for a long time. Spooky action at a distance, right? We know we could split an atom and tickle an atom in one part of the world, and the other side of the world where the other piece of the atom is starts wiggling. So there is connectivity, right? There is quantum entanglement. So it would be ridiculous for us to just summarily dismiss all of these claims that have been had over the centuries just because it doesn't fit your doctrine, right? I've sat there talking to atheists, and we'll put up a prayer request and get what I believe is an immediate response. Well, that's just good timing. Multiple times, you know? How about we did these intention experiments when there was no rain coming to California? There was no rain in their forecast. And we did a huge intention experiment with our listeners worldwide. And within 2 days of doing the experiment, they were getting torrential rainfall. And where does that come from? How does that happen? If I believe, well, it's just coincidence. It's good. How can it be that many coincidences? So I'm either psychic, we've manifested it, or it's a complete synchronicity, but I've got to believe we have a really great innate power within all of us that when we come together en masse, we can do amazing things.
I believe that too. It's amazing, the power of unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at my picture, if everybody could just focus on these red marks that won't go away on my face, send your mojo magic now and let's see if they'll go away. Stretch marks.
Well, sometimes we can't do that much magic. No.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I was going to say, while they're at it, can you help us look younger too, Glenda? Take an extra 20 years off of us too?
That can't possibly happen, according to Glenda. Oh no, for us we can do it, Dave. For you, not so much.
I'm 62. I'm going to be 63, and I am proud to say that the only reason this face stays this way is because I do a lot of oil every day.
I don't think eating fried chicken is considered doing oil, but whatever.
She rubs the fried chicken oil.
Yeah. Popeye's fried chicken is why I have red marks on my face. I'm allergic to it, but can't stop eating it.
No, I do use essential oils on my face.
Very nice.
Yeah. It helps. It helps because it's that time of the year over here, and it's very dry. And so,
yeah, you're talking to the wrong guy. I'm in Minnesota. I have no compassion for you and your little cold bits every now and again.
I am sorry. We do measure by inches, and you probably measure by feet. I know.
Well, that just came out sounding filthy the way you said it.
Yes, I know.
But, whatever.
I have no dog in this fight because I'm in South Texas, so I
don't know what you've heard, Glenda. I don't know what you've heard between inches and feet, but I'm not going to tell you any different.
Okay.
That's what he said. No, just kidding. Exactly. Anyways. My goodness.
Well, thanks everybody. It's been a pleasure. Have a good rest of your night.
That's a wrap. That's all we needed, right?
I feel like I broke the hosts with that comment.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, she's naughtier than you think, David. Trust me.
Wow. Now really. Wow.
She can take the joke.
I'm very, very, very accepting of jokes. Anything that gets you to laugh raises your vibration.
That's right.
It does. Anything that makes you laugh.
What? I can't even.
Do you want me to ask the question,
I
or
feel
you want?
broken. Do
Go ahead.
I?
You asked the question while I'm getting myself together.
In your research, did you find that there were more encounters or legends featuring one type of entity over another? If so, why do you think that is? And what?
That was 18 questions in one question. Are you? I think Moongirl, mistress of the paranormal, should be ADH squirrel of the internet.
Okay, we'll start with just one.
Wow. So in my research, no, I don't think that there's any one particular style. I've investigated poltergeist and
Yeah.
actual ghosts and what people believe to be shadow people or demons, and so it's been kind of a smorgasbord. But I also think that the type of haunting is dependent on your type of personality, right? You and I, Moongirl, we could be real sarcastic and text each other back and forth. And if Glenda read our text, be like, "Oh my God, you two treat each other horribly." Right? Like my friend Sweet Tea that's on my podcast. We are brutal to one another, but it's all in love and in jest. When I message her, I'm like, "Hey,
Terms of
moron."
endearment.
Right. I'm like, "Hey, moron, what's an idiot doing today?" And she goes, "I don't know, idiot. What are you doing?" And that's our conversations is,
Right.
That's true friendship.
right. So you can see that, but from the outside, it looks horrific.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know, and then I love that when I slip on air and I'll call her a moron because that's the way we talk all the time together. She'll get that look on her face and just leave me out to hang instead of saying anything back. I'm like, "You're such a jerk. Let everybody know I'm not just being a
He's
jerk."
abusive.
Anyway, I go to this talking about perception, right?
Mhm.
So everybody's got a different level of acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if I see a spider skitter across the wall. Would you two freak out if a spider came skittering across the wall in front of you?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
but I'm sure other people would.
Right. There are people that would be,
Yeah.
my daughters would be screaming at the top of their lungs, standing in the hall, forcing me to go in and confront these spiders and kill them. So it's interesting to them. That's something of danger. So
Yeah.
something unknown to Glenda, she must think is a demon, or because of her upbringing, it's a demon. But to Dave, well, maybe it's a misunderstood spirit. To Moongirl, maybe what it is a leprechaun with rabies. And you don't know what your perception is that you bring to the investigation.
Right.
So I
As long
find
as
a
he
lot of
lets me
times,
take his pot of gold, we're good.
that's right. Where's the gold? That if you come into a place of fear, most things are going to frighten you. If you come into it with a clear, look,
Mhm.
I treat ghosts like children, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but I realize they're lashing out. They're maybe upset and angry. They don't know how to communicate their words because we can't always hear them. So it's easier for me to be more patient
Mhm.
and then say, "Well, I don't think you have a demon. I think what you have is an upset ghost. Have you changed anything recently? Have you been disrespectful?" And sometimes they'll go, "Yeah, I actually have." And I said, "Well, maybe just apologize. Tell them you're sorry you upset that place, but it needed to go. It was rotting away, or the chair was stinky now, and it was their important chair, but it needs to go. But they're still welcome to be here." And just sometimes the subtlety of the way you approach the paranormal and the spirit realm, you get the response back. So you show respect, you get respect back.
Absolutely. This is
Exactly.
something we're firm believers in. Like, we don't like when we do investigations, like to go and be rude and attack the
No.
poor ghost. You have to treat him with respect as well.
Right.
Somebody comes into my house and is disrespectful, I'm going to throw them out.
Right.
If I can't throw them out, I'm going to beat them up so they leave. Basically.
Mental note when visiting Linda.
She's tiny but mighty, Dave. So
She's tiny but mighty.
So mini leprechaun.
It's reality.
A pretty leprechaun.
I think I answered part of your question in there, but I can't say that there's any one specific style of spirits. I've been there for all of them, and have had an experience with many different types of paranormal beings.
Yeah.
In this field, there is a lot of diversity. We already discussed that. But is there anything that you would like to see going forward that the teams or the individuals latch on and say, "Hey, you know what? we heard this and Dave was right, or yes, we should get united
Well, you can
more.
stop right there.
Okay.
Anytime somebody's willing to say, yes, Dave was right, I'm happy. Like, I'm a father with 4 daughters. I've never told you right. I'm always a moron. So I'll take it any way I can get it. But I would like to see more diversity in the religious sect. I would like to see a team diverse: Muslim, Jewish, Christianity, Native American. Just a wide swath of people that are in one group that we could go out and investigate together and maybe give some insights and understanding to what's going on a little better.
That's very good. Very good. Yes, because I could imagine that the Native American may see a spirit, but may see more of a galactic side of the spirit than a per se ghostly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
it's very good, and I hope it comes to fruition.
And I will tell you this, and I beat this drum and I take heat for it once in a while, but I'm going to say it anyway. Diversity, if you want ladies to see more women being represented on television programs and the paranormal, stop being dicks to one another, because the networks are watching. And if they've got a woman on a TV show who's a middle-aged mom and all of you are out there shredding her because she's short and portly and looks like she's 50, why didn't I get the job? I'm better and sexier. And if that's your only focus, instead of, boy, she's really a good investigator, or she's a really bad investigator, the networks are watching. When they see that the only one that's consistently being put down is the woman on the team by women, which are the primary fan base for the paranormal, how do you expect you're ever going to get anywhere? This brotherhood and sisterhood crap goes out the window. Start
It's a
being
crabs in a bucket mentality.
Yes.
Very much so, especially for women. And you're absolutely right. It's not about looks. I've been asked before on other things I'm not going to mention, and they're like, can you send me a more revealing picture? I'm like, what the F does that have to do with me investigating?
All right, I asked you once, Moongirl. Once.
And she told on you. Look at that.
Breaking news.
Yeah. Well,
and they're very competitive. Women are very competitive with each other.
Right. And
it's horrible. It's horrible.
I've tried to counsel a few of my female friends that have gotten into the field that I think are really talented mediums. And they go from being the girl next door to boobs out, hair out, laying backwards on a couch with her hair flayed out and boobs on display as the way to bring people into their psychic mediumship page. And that's fine. Own your sexuality, own your look, own that feel and vibe. But I tell them, if you really want people to take you seriously in the paranormal field, you don't have to dress like Stevie Nicks and have your boobs hanging out. Just be good at what you do, and people are going to love it. Right? That's what they're hoping for. And I know women are always in competition with one another for looking good, feeling good. But really, if you're really good at your job, it shouldn't matter if you're a woman and look like me. What should matter is that you're doing what the work is and you're doing it in a respectful, responsible way. And please understand, I'm not attacking women in any way, shape, or form. Own and be who you are, but also understand the world is a hard, mean place filled with hard, mean people. And I've watched so many good women step away from this field because in the long run, they can't take the abuse that other women are slinging their way. And I'm not saying men don't do it too. Men are schmucks, but women are brutal to one another.
I just left one because of that. I was very bullied. So I completely get it.
Yeah.
It's hard to step, and if, dear Lord, if you step just a little 2 inches faster than they do.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be about that. It should just be about how good you are as a researcher and experiencer. And I've watched and talked to some of my female friends that have come to me crying because they're like, Dave, I want to be in this field. And literally they brought me a V-neck shirt that's about a size too small for me. And they're like, you really need to kind of look better. And I'm like, yeah, God, that's so gross, especially when on TV, they, you know, the only thing they told me to do was wear dark clothes. They didn't ever, you know, there was no other directive for us as men, but for women, I know that there's a different vibe on TV. So
Right.
it sucks.
And the worst part about it is, like you said, that it's women attacking women if put together.
So I'd like to see more diversity in having more people of many colors, many sexualities, and many races, and the sides of the spectrum, male, women, and everything in between and all around, to be a part of these shows, but not because, well, we need to fill our quota. We need this person and that. It should be because you've just got the best people for the job.
Very true.
Yeah. Definitely want to see more diverse. I think that, and this is no offense to anybody, but the majority of women who are out there, again, there's nothing wrong with that. They're normally Caucasian, you know, so we need a little bit more of everything out there, you know, more extra spices, extra flavor, Latina flavor.
Agreed. But, you know, I've spoken to some of my friends of different colors and persuasions, and you know what I find is hilarious is I'm like, well, why aren't you representing? Why aren't you trying to get on TV? And they're like, oh, hell no. I'm not going to let people tear me apart and make me feel bad about who I am. And I've been like, wow, so what you're saying is you're smarter than us dumbass white people who will go do TV, whether we're getting beat up or not. And they're like, yeah, you go take all the heat and I'll just go out and investigate on my own and not have to worry about 1 million plus people watching me and talking smack about me. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty brilliant. That's pretty brilliant. I also see, though, that a lot of these different cultures have very sacred beliefs towards a lot of these things and things that they don't want to share with everybody.
Right.
And that to me is kind of a shame. I wish that they would be more open, but I also understand the delicate nature of how they perceive things.
I think we would be open to share some of the stuff, but others we do hold very near and dear to our hearts, and we don't want that out there. But I think that, you know, we would be open to share surface level things, I guess, but some of things, like you said, they're very sacred to us, so
which is why when you watch for diversity on these shows and when the producers are speaking to the main participants and that's what they say, and they go, okay, but are we going to be able to show it on TV? No, I can't do that. I can be very cursory. Well, what do you mean by cursory? Well, like I'll burn a smudge stick. Well, Dave could burn a smudge stick. We were hoping that with your indigenous background, you'd have something more to show, you know, and when they aren't willing to come forward, that does crimp their eligibility, I guess, to be on a program, because if I'm bringing you in for the diversity and then you refuse to share that diversity with a large public audience, you got to kind of understand that that's the way the TV rolls as well. So I know that it's not a perfect field, especially when it comes to TV shows, but I also understand that a lot of people do not want to be represented in a certain way or are fearful of angering other people in their belief systems, so they don't want to be represented on TV that way.
But there is some people who have tried to include us. So really quick shout out to Refinery 29, because they were very kind. A year ago, or was it a year and a half, something like that, you know, they did a big article about Latinas and Afro Latinos, you know, females being part of the field, and I was very honored that they wrote, you know, the article about me and some other lovely girl. And I mean, they tried. You know, there's some people who do try to help out and, you know, show the light to us here and there. So shout out to them, because they did do that. So love Refinery 29.
And that's why I've loved doing the show that I've done, you know, bringing radio to people for 18 plus years, is I get to talk to a diverse background of people. And we've had people from many different walks of life come on to share their concepts as much as they will that they're comfortable with. So it gives us glimpses into those, you know, kind of beliefs and understandings. And I think that's invaluable as people. If we honestly realized how close the three of us really are in what we do, we just call it something different.
Yeah.
That would bring us together more than keep pushing us apart. But when we're all so cautious about sharing too much of ourselves, that's the division, and it happens across the board.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Except for us idiot white people, we just will tell you and do everything. Hey, I like Jesus. Hey, I'm a Donny Osmond fan. Doesn't matter. You want to know it? We'll tell it to you. We're like, there is nothing sacred. We will tell you.
Well, I keep saying I'm an open book. If they ask, they're going to get the truth.
Wait,
So.
But here's the thing.
Can you hear the
Like
sound
the
of
saying
keyboard
goes.
warriors? White people emailing me right now, angry. How dare you give away our secrets that we don't have any secrets?
Just the raisin and the potato salad you guys put. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay there. But it is something that is you have to be willing to be open, and that not too many people are. Be willing to trust the group that you're with, because you would like to collaborate and do more stuff with them. And if they sometimes hear something and they take it the wrong way, they may, oh no, like I could say I have experienced many demon-like spirits.
Oh, okay.
And people say, oh, she's working with demons. No, that doesn't mean that. That just means that I was willing to hear their story. And not everything that you think it's a demon is a demon.
Yeah.
Not everybody's possessed. You don't get possessed just by going into a place and get possessed.
Nope.
It takes a lot of fueling by negative thoughts and negative feelings and negative environment to get that to that state.
Or $29.99 sent to Dave at paranormal60.com. I will make sure that you're full on possessed by the end of the hour. So
full on possession, yes.
That's right.
Now, what do you feel? I mean, I don't even know if I should ask, but like, let's be honest, in the paranormal field and metaphysical field, like mediums and whatnot, psychics, there is a lot of fakery going on. And what do you feel about that? Like, I don't even know exactly how I'm going to ask, but
listen, it's so hard for me to delineate what is fakery, because what is fakery to you and your beliefs may be very real to Glenda and her beliefs. So I don't believe that a lot of people are
evidence. Let's say like evidence.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if you're faking evidence, but sometimes I've watched dowsers. People using dowsing rods, and they will swear, I am not moving, and I watch their hands go back and forth, but I honestly 100% believe they don't realize they're doing that.
Right.
I think they're using the dowsing rods as a crutch. They're getting answers maybe psychically, and they're putting it off on the dowsing rods, because then it's a tool. If it's wrong, well, it's a dowsing rod's fault, not mine. So you know what I'm saying is, to me that looks like chicanery and skullduggery. Oh, pirate words. And they're not that impressive to me. But I've been witness to people using dowsing rods that walked right to a place where a body was found, or found something missing using dowsing rods. And even though I'm watching their hands and they're tweaking it, they seem to tweak it right at the right place. So I'm very cautious with calling people out for fake and fraud, because again, some people just don't know that they're doing it. I don't think they realize that they're presenting something incorrectly, if that makes any sense. And by the way, ladies, I don't know if you're hearing it, but I'm getting like a weird rumbly noise underneath us while we're talking. So I'm not sure if
it's the ghost
or what. Yeah. The ghost of our own voices.
I guess.
No, in my head, it's a ghost. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No problem.
A reality.
I'm not here to make you believe anything.
A reality. Let's just leave it at that.
That's right.
Oh Lord. So do you have some events coming up
Sure.
and tell us about him.
Well, I'm all over the board. I love doing live events and getting out to see places. I'm down to, I think there's only 5 states I've not been to in the United States. And Alaska is one of them. So I'm hoping to go see Nebraska and Oklahoma this year. That'll be 2 of them off my list. But if you go to darknessevents.com, darknessevents.com, you can see all the places I'm going to be this year. And I'll be all over the United States and looking to investigate, hang out. I'll be signing copies of my brand new book, Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness, True Encounters with the Supernatural. I'll be selling those at the events. So you can just go check it out at darknessevents.com or my main page, paranormal60.com. And there's little tabs at the top that'll let you find out about my radio show, that'll let you know about our upcoming events, our swag shop, how to order a book, how to get tarot readings for my wife through Love and Lotus Tarot. So there's all the links are right there at paranormal60.com. But I encourage you, stop just watching it on TV. Come on out and be a part of the history of these locations. And come with me. We're also going to England this September. Neil Story, the historian, the haunted historian over there, and I will be leading up a tour in England. And part of that tour is like a 3 or 4 day stop at the UK's premier paranormal conference, the Festival of the Unexplained. So when you get this, if you come on the tour with us, you get to also be a part of that conference and go see the conference. If you're watching in Europe and you just want to go to the conference, look up Festival of the Unexplained. It is one of the best paranormal conferences in the world, but certainly the top one in the UK.
Awesome. Make sure to check that out, guys. I'm excited. I wanted to do some of those with you. Can you share with us one of your personal experiences with anything supernatural?
Sure. Let me think of a story I can share with you that I haven't told a billion times. It's been I've had experiences with my grandparents after they passed away. My grandfather and I were very close, and he had a special nickname. I never say the nickname because I'm hoping some medium will connect me and say the name. So today we'll just say the nickname is Shoelace, right?
Okay.
Just for this. So I'd had these experiences with my grandparents. Well, one day I'm driving and my son Nathan is in the back seat. And Nathan was born about 10 years after my grandfather passed away. Okay. So he never got the chance to meet him. And he was so young, we never spoke about my grandfather in front of him. And Nathan was in the back seat in his car seat looking up at something sitting next to him. And he's blabbering away in baby talk. And then he would stop and put his head like he was like almost leaning it on someone. It was really sweet. And I looked in the rearview mirror and I said, "Who are you talking to, buddy?" And he looked up and smiled at the being next to him, and then turned and looked and made eye contact with me in the rearview mirror. He said, "Shoelace." And it was so clear, the name of my grandfather. And then he just turned back and gave him this smile. And I was like, "Grandpa, thank you for coming to visit. You better not show up in my back seat because we will join you much quicker than we should." If I look back there and there's a ghost sitting there. But thanks for coming to visit. And my other children have had visitations from my grandparents and from my mom after she passed. So it's been kind of a family thing. It's interesting. I grew up without I don't want to say this. I grew up with a dad. The gentleman that chose to be my dad when I was 2 years old and became a part of mine and my mom's life and raised me. He's my dad. But I never got to know my bio dad. And a few years back, I did 23andMe and Ancestry.com. And lo and behold, while I was filming the second season of Holzer Files for Travel Channel, I get this email from Snarky Tea Company. And I open it up and it says, "Hi, I think you're my brother. We got my father an ancestry kit this year, and you came back as his son." And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." And so I ended up connecting with my father, and he said, the girls called me and I looked up all your social media and I'm not surprised that you're in the field you're in of the paranormal. And I said, why is that? And he goes, because it's in our blood. Your great grandmother was a famous gypsy queen in Scotland.
Wow.
And
Oh.
we have always had this ability. The girls see ghosts, and I've had paranormal experiences, and my father reads tarot cards and cards. So it's literally a part of my blood. So I just think it's great that you can see that, and here's things I never even knew about me, but it rings true because an entire side of my family I didn't know existed have these abilities and interests and fascinations with the supernatural as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It must be really nice to finally put all that together.
Yeah, well, it was great. So, and I believe, the nudging of that came from my mom after she passed away, because my mom has not shown herself to me in a ghostly way, and I haven't even really dreamed about my mom, which really bothered me for a long time. But out of the blue, my cousin called. She's our family historian. She goes, "Hey, your mom was supposed to do the spit test for me for ancestry, and she passed away, and I have her kit. Would you do it? Because the more information and genetic information I get, the better I can do our family tree." And I'm like, sure. So she sent me the kit. I spit in the kit, sent it in. 2 weeks later, I found a daughter I never knew existed.
Wow.
And here this daughter grew up 10 minutes from my mom. My mom has always known how important my kids are, and she loved her grandchildren. So I don't have a doubt in the world that she didn't nudge my cousin to ask me to do this. And then the other big secret in my life was never knowing who my biological father was. My mom was a hippie. It was the 60s. I'm not here to judge, right?
Right.
Things happen. That's just the way it goes. So I was very, non-judgmental about it. But because of those ancestry kits and tests, pushed me to find my biological father as well. So I think my mom was behind both of those, two of my greatest mysteries that I would have missed out on in life. And I found them through those connections. So I believe that has been an element. Now, again, it could be coincidence and synchronicity, but I like to think it was my mom pushing things.
No, I do too.
Yeah. I would agree. I would definitely agree. So besides all over the world, is there any one particular place that besides by the end of this year, those 3 states you haven't gone to,
Right.
any one other particular place that you may have been wanting to go but never had the opportunity? It wasn't like you could go.
I would love to go to the actual crash site for the Roswell UFO incident. I would love to go to, I've been to Rendlesham Forest, but I would love to go to the actual site, not the little fan site that they set up. I've got a lot of those different places on my bucket list that I would like to go just to say I've been there and was able to stand in those, on those floors, in those walls, or on those locations. And I would, as much as I joke around about not being an outdoorsman, I would like to go on one official Bigfoot investigation in a well-known, well-documented area to see if I can have an experience.
What are your thoughts on cryptics?
Oh, I firmly believe there's some other stuff out there that we don't know about, whether it's interdimensional or maybe ghosts that we're just seeing fleeting moments in time from, or real life beings. I believe that the world is too big and there's too many spaces. We're in the United States here. We kind of think
that's it.
No way
there's a whole other world.
But then you get an overview and you get in a plane and you fly from Minnesota to New York and realize, man, there's a lot of woods and a lot of places things could just live. And animals are cunning and intelligent and adaptable. And, there are mountain lions you can walk past that you might not even see. There are alligators and crocodiles you could walk past that you wouldn't see until it's too late. So why is it so hard to believe that a bipedal 8-foot to 10-foot tall creature couldn't exist in the woods but know how to blend in with its backgrounds?
Yeah, and they would definitely know how to take care of themselves and get all their needs taken care of. Not like us. We can't go to the supermarket. So they know how to just develop their
Right.
needs.
Yeah, and their
and their
abilities to stay hidden and cautious. Yeah.
right.
Now, you also talk about folklore. Is there like a story that maybe really opened your eyes to the possibility that it could actually have been true?
Well, listen, folklore is what, I mean, it's stories that are told.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folklore are parables that are
Mhm.
stories to tell us, about the sea beast, the lake creatures and monsters. Are those real, or were they things for us to keep our children from doing dumb things? 'Cause as a parent, if I go, "Don't go by the water, it's dangerous," the minute I walk away, that kid's gonna go by the water. But if I put in their mind that there might be a 20-foot alligator creature that comes out of the water and will eat you, they might think twice before they go to the water's edge, right? So
You haven't met my son.
there are a lot of these folklore stories that you hear that sound like, I think what this is a nod and a warning packaged in a scary element to try to control people and control our children, which, let's face it, this world needs more scared children so that they're not feeling so entitled and that their world is the only thing that matters, right? There should be a healthy fear and respect reintroduced to children. And I'm not saying abuse, there's a difference.
Right.
But
Yes.
I think having kids have a healthy fear of situations so that they don't put themselves in harm's way is an important element of
Mhm.
living. So I think there are a lot of those cases. However, you also hear where the folklore kind of jumps, and then all of a sudden you realize that, well, these stories have always been kind of passed down. But if I look, I can actually find newspaper articles that predate what I believe the story to be, that predate 100 years, and they are full-blown adults that witnessed, and not just one off, but an entire group that saw this frog creature walking on two legs and stood 5 feet tall. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, maybe there is more to this.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's very true. Very true.
Yeah, so folklore plays an important part. But again, it's kind of an examining, where did the folklore begin? Was there
Yeah.
something? What was the germination and genesis point for that? Was there something based in reality?
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, we are kind of coming towards the end. Is there anything we haven't spoken about that you would like our audience to know?
I'm glad you asked
Buy
me.
his book.
Let's talk about my book,
Your book.
Theater of
Here
the
we
Mind.
go.
Tales from the Darkness. There's a lot of stories in here that have that folkloric take to them. The
Mhm.
Bloody Bones Man, the
Mm.
Black-Eyed Kids, right? They have these folkloric aspects to them. But it's interesting who tells the story and what those stories mean. And that's what I love about doing this. And so many people have sent me their stories over the years, and I was their only outlet to share. And it was in sharing those stories that I heard from other people saying, "Oh my God, thank you," because I thought I was insane. I've had that same experience with that same being. And I thought, why just let these stories languish in my drawer? Let's bring them out, take them from the rough form they're in, create them into a beautifully told story,
Mhm.
not sacrificing the reality, the truth, and the experience, just
Mhm.
making it a better written piece
Yeah.
to share. And that's what I did. And I got the nod from all the authors of these stories, and I've included some of my own. Um, and a lot of the authors don't want to be publicly acknowledged because of their positions in life, whether
Yeah.
they're religious leaders or political leaders or police officers
Mhm.
who don't want people to know about what they experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely jeopardize their whole
Yeah.
life.
And then the other thing is um, I host a live podcast every Monday and Wednesday night called Paranormal 60, and you can watch it on YouTube live. It's
Mhm.
always at 9 p.m. till 10 p.m. Central. But if you can't watch it live, just go to the Paranormal 60 page, hit the little bell on YouTube, and subscribe. And you click the live tab; it'll show you all the past episodes, hundreds of episodes that you can go back and listen to. Amazing stories from real life experiencers, and many different ways of examining the paranormal. So that's what I make out there. If you're more of an audiophile and you prefer to listen to podcasts, I have a podcast network. So the Paranormal 60 Podcast Network. So Monday is New England Legends with Jeff Belanger and Ray Auger. Tuesday is the Paranormal 60. Wednesday is Monster Lounge. Thursday is Paranormal 60 News, and Friday is True Hauntings Podcast, which comes from my friends Ann and Renata in Australia. So cool, different style shows, different hosts. So there's something for everybody in there, and 5 days a week of cool content and shows that average 15 to 20 minutes in length, like New England Legends, up to shows like mine that can go up to 90 minutes in length.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I hope people will check it out and join my journey and take me along on their journey as they strike out into the world looking for the weird and obnoxious and silly and scary all at the same time. Because when you think silly and scary, I want Dave Schrader to be the first thing you think of.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and
Thank
hopefully
you
we can
so
visit
much.
again soon.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
We
please.
definitely
You're
have to have-
welcome anytime.
Thanks. I'll see you
They
next
plug all
Tuesday.
your crap, all everything. Plug everything.
And you can always stop by the Paranormal 60 swag
Yes.
shop and get your
Ooh,
big dumb cup,
there you go.
or all of our cool t-shirts and other items that we have at paranormal60swagshop.com. And that's it for me, whoring myself and everything that I'm a part of.
Sometimes that's the way you got to do it, man. So
That's right.
I am okay with it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Moon Girl, and thank you to our audience.
Don't hang up, David.
As always, many blessings, and we love you. Bye.